Hey guys, it's your girl Londyn, and today we are going to be doing a Disney inspired princess palette. So, if you guys want to see which palette we're going to be using, which look we're going to be creating, then just stick around because we're going to get right into it. Okay, guys, Sigma. So, everybody and their mother really has been collaborating with Disney, but Sigma recently collaborated with Disney and did a Cinderella palette. I really enjoy Disney. And of the kind of Disney sphere, it's not really Mickey or Minnie or Donald that I really enjoy. It's the Disney princesses. In particular, Cinderella happens to be my second favorite princess, with, of course, Aurora coming in as number one. But I've noticed that Sleeping Beauty doesn't quite get the fanfare that Cinderella gets. So, Sigma, I don't really have a ton of their palettes, although after this collection I did buy a few of their palettes. So I'm not super familiar kind of with the formula, but again, Cinderella drew me in and I had to get it. So this is the Unicarton. How freaking gorgeous is this? It is Cinderella's very kind of noticeable blue and silver on the back of it. It has all the colors so you can see what the inside palette is going to look like, and it also comes with a brush. So I'm really impressed by the packaging just kind of right off the bat, and I'm really excited that when they did the palette they kept the packaging the same, because I'm not going to keep the Unicarton, but I am glad that the packaging for the actual palette stayed the same as the Unicarton, so that way I don't have to. And again, on the back it also has the colors and the shade names for you to reference. Inside, this I am going to keep. So this is what usually comes to cover your shadows, and this one is Cinderella, and it says Disney Princesses. You can see it's highly reflective, so it is difficult to see, but this was really pretty, and I thought that was just a little special touch that they did. Inside, they do have a full mirror at the top, and I really like that, and I like how it has the embossing right there. So it's a Sigma, and at the top it says Disney Princess. I really like that. And then inside we do have a brush. Now I'm going to take the brush out because although I'm keeping the brush, I don't use the brushes from any palette, not from ABH, not from anywhere. They may be nice quality, but they're just not the brushes that I choose to use. I really do like this color selection. A lot of people were saying that this looked more Jasmine inspired versus Cinderella, and I definitely can see that, especially if you take out that blue right there, that it definitely does look very Jasmine-esque inspired. But nonetheless, I still felt that it was really pretty, and then maybe that will just give them some incentive to do a Jasmine inspired palette, because we certainly could do with one of those also. So today's look, although we do have the blue, I'm not quite sure if I want to use the blue or not. There's just a lot of different ways you can use this palette. In my mind, I separate them into kind of quads. So I kind of separate them into this quad, this quad, this quad, and I take this one and separate into this quad. So to me, there are a lot of looks you can get from it. If you're finding yourself being confused by the color selection, just separate them into quads. And the last one's going to have an overlapping set of two, but that can really help you decide what kind of look you want to do when you are finding yourself get a little kind of like, I'm not quite sure what look I should use. So with that being said, there were a lot of really beautiful looks to do here, and I don't think I want to do an all blue look. That's just not really what I'm feeling today, but they do have some very pretty purples, and I'm really sad because they have some beautiful embossing on some of these shades here and here and here. So the shimmers have these gorgeous embossements, and I'm really sad because I'm going to end up messing those up quite a bit. So, let's see. I feel like I should do the blue look because I feel like that is quite a Cinderella thing to do. However, I also feel like I'm not quite sure I want to do the blue look. I kind of feel like I want to go for something a little bit more simplistic, but at the same time, it's like it's a Cinderella palette. Do you want to do a just kind of copper nude eye look? No, but at the same time, kind of yes, I do. Oh, yeah. Mm, I kind of want to do a purple look. Oh man. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to do a simplistic look today. Guys, can you tell I'm very, very torn here? Because I do actually want to, let me just swatch the blue a little bit. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go with it. I'm going to do the blue. We're going to do the blue. We're going to go in with it. So I'll put the palette somewhere over here so that way you guys can see what it is that I'm using. And we're just going to go into kind of this mid-toned brown look. We're using our Wayne Gloss number 3 brush, and we're just going to lay a little bit of shadow down, especially because we are working with the blues. I don't really know the Sigma formulation, and blues can be notoriously difficult to formulate. I want to make sure that although usually I don't necessarily put a transition shade down simply for transition's sake for other shadows, I do want to make sure that the blues have something to kind of guide themselves onto because they are so hard to formulate, and I really would like to have a pretty look when I'm doing this and not kind of have something that's a little too wonky donkey. So again, I am working with my lighting once more, so I'm really hoping that this is the last time I have to make any changes to it, and that this is just how it can be, because I don't want the saturation to be too bright like a lot of the YouTube videos that I have watched over probably like the past 6 or 7 years, because what happens is a lot of times people will say, well, let me go ahead and turn the brightness down so you can see the true color. I'd rather do a video that is not as highly brightened, but you can actually see the true nature of the shades when I'm putting them on, what the makeup actually looks like, what my skin tone actually looks like, and nothing is oversaturated. I'm not blurred out because the light is so bright. So I would love to be able to do it with natural daylight, but the problem is natural daylight goes in and out, and then you get shadows and castings, and you get bright areas and then areas of darkness. So I'm trying to avoid that to the best of my ability. So that was a nice shade to put down. Now we are going to go ahead and we are going to start. And I think that what we're going to do is a bit of a halo eye, because that is what I have really been enjoying doing when working, especially with colors of this nature. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into this deep navy blue. I'm really, really hoping that this is nice, because we're going to do it. Okay. So far, it is looking nice. So I will say so far so good. It's looking very, very, very saturated. So that's always a good thing. And it's looking very deep, very kind of teal-esque, which is exactly what it should be. So really liking that. And let's go ahead and let's just start on this side. And these shades always terrify me, because I feel like when you are working with blues in particular, when you are trying to blend them out or do anything that is precision based, things can go haywire very, very quickly. And so you really have to have a plan of attack, which clearly, as you saw, we don't. So that can make me be a little bit worried, because I personally find it difficult to also fix whoopsie-daisies with blues. So I found that when you have a blue whoopsie-daisy, oh, this is very pigmented, it can be a little more difficult to fix. Now this is my Wayne Gloss number 20 brush, and this is kind of like a pointed pencil brush, and this is a very, very, very pigmented teal. Like I am barely going into it. It does have some powder saturation clearly in the palette. It is a powder product, but it's not kicking up out of the palette because I'm very precisely dipping my brush in there But this is just, if you guys can see, look at that color saturation. I mean, if you're wanting pigment, you certainly are getting it from this color. This is definitely not lacking any pigment at all. This is very pigmented. So you may be wondering, well, why, if you're doing kind of like a halo eye, why is this so far apart? Why aren't you bringing the teal in a little bit more? And that is because I'm going to do, well, I like to call a dual halo. I'm not actually sure what it is called, or if it is called anything. I do have my color switch. I'm going to color switch this off. What I'm going to do is, there is a, I don't know if you would call this a, I don't want to call it seafoam blue-green, but it's a bluish-greenish color in here also. And what I'm doing is I'm working with this kind of blue quad that's in the palette, and I'm going to put this right next to it. So I'm going to go in here like this. And that is just because I want to give a little bit of depth to the halo eye versus just the kind of one shadow, the deeper shadow on the outside, and then the kind of shimmer on the inside. This is very pigmented too. And I wanted to allow it to be the color that closes the halo eye. As well as try to use a few more of these dark shades, just to get an overall feel for the palette, because I only got so much lid space, can only use so many colors, but I really want to try to use as much as possible. So if you guys can see the deeper navy on the outside, or teal, and then kind of that greenish blue that we put right next to it. I think it looks really pretty. And this kind of helps guide us too, because you can see like where you need to go back in. And like here, kind of get a little bit more of that teal to guide it up. Like this. Really liking that a lot. And I think that this is going to help us with the depth again, because even though, you know, we are going to do a little bit of blending with these blues, I feel like you don't want to get too blend heavy, because if you do, I think that it could be kind of disastrous doing that, just because of the saturation of color. So now we're going to go back in with that kind of like seafoamy, more green, and we're just tapping very lightly, and we're going to now create our crease. Now my crease is going to be slightly higher than where it should be, because I have hooded eyes. So if I were to put my crease where it should fall naturally, it would make it very difficult to see anything once we got all of our shadows put on. So I'm going to do this, and this is just super light outline. This I don't think necessarily needs to, you want it to be kind of as non-wonky as possible, clearly, but you're going to be putting a shimmer up here, at least for me, because again, I do have hooded eyes, but this is just kind of to provide that outline to the halo. So it doesn't have to be precise, but you do want it to look like you put your best foot forward and really gave it the old college try. And so you see how we can see there's some blank space right there. We can go ahead and we can fill that in. Make sure we have the color saturation that we're wanting right there, and then we can always go in and fill in some more after we put our shimmer down. So now let's go ahead and we're going to do the shimmer. There's two shimmers. There is this really pretty kind of blue, very that Cinderella-esque, and then there's kind of like a little bit of a topper. So we're going to use both. So because I'm kind of being a bit more precise, what I'm going to use is this NYX brush. This is, I guess, rubber. I got this probably 5 years ago. I think Anastasia and a couple of other brands make them now too. These are perfect for shimmers, so they kind of simulate a finger. So instead of having to use your finger, they kind of simulate the same kind of, I don't want to say adherence, but kind of adherence to your finger, emolliency for the shimmers. So if you're not somebody who likes to use a finger, you can get these kind of rubber tipped brushes, and this one has like more of a ace of spades, and this one has more of kind of a flat end, and this is what I like to use, at least in the beginning. So we're going to go in, we're going to basically ruin this a little bit of embossing. We're going to get the kind of brush covered nice and good, and this can be good too if you don't want to risk hard panning your shimmers. These can work nicely. For me, I'm just going in first just to do a little bit of kind of precision laying down here, and then I will go back in with my finger in a second, but I just like to kind of do a little bit of a layout to see where things are, how far things are going to go in, kind of what's happening, what's the what about things. So as you can see that. And this actually is turning out very, very nice. Well, the embossings are not very deep on these shadows, so just be aware that one good couple swipes and the embossings really start to fade away, which is a shame. Sometimes they have embossings that are a bit deeper than others, and so you have a little bit more kind of pan wear down that you can go before the embossing will be gone. But on these, you really don't have that. It's kind of wearing away quite quickly, so you can kind of see that right there. Looks very pretty, very nice, and I'm actually excited that I just did this look. So now we're going to go in with our finger, and it's a very nice feeling shimmer, and now we're going to go in and see how much more it's amping it up. So I like to use that brush again just for precision work, but if you're looking to get the full effect, the full Monty out of your shadows, that likely is not going to be where you're going to kind of get the full effect at. You're going to still need to use your finger to get the full effect, but it gives you a nice guideline of kind of where you want to try to stay at, or at least where you've outlined. I mean, it's your eyes. You can always change it as you see fit, but it just kind of gives you, like I said, like a little guide for what you might want to do. So that's what we're looking like there. So now that we have that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our pointed brush again, and I'm going to go back in to that kind of seafoamy green, and I'm just going to add a little bit more shadow to the outer part, just so that way that doesn't get lost in the sauce, and that way we can still create that kind of two-toned depth with these shades, just to give it a little something, so that way it feels still like a little more than just a quote-unquote another blue look. Now we're going back in with that kind of teal, especially right here in the inner corner, because this can tend to get a little lost. All right, so there we have that. And then on this eye, we want a little bit too much right here. So now we got to go back in and add a little more shine. So it's kind of a dance that you're kind of doing. So now that we have that, we want to take this kind of domed brush. It's the E28 from Colourpop. And what we want to do is we want to start blending right next to the shimmer before we put our final shimmer on here. And that's because we want to get all of our blending done, because once the final shimmer goes on, it pretty much becomes a wrap skis and becomes a little more difficult, at least for me, to go in and do any more of the fixes that I need to do. So I try to do the blend now figure out where I need to add, where I need to take away, what it is I need to do, and see how it's kind of like make it look like it almost fades out. So we have the blue in the center, which is a spotlight, but because we put a lighter blue next to it, it almost looks like it's absent of some color there, and then fades back into the deeper blue, almost like water. When water looks very kind of deep with color, especially as it's getting dusk, and then some places it looks a little more clear. It's kind of giving you that vibe. We're going to just go into the color switch because we don't want too much color there. And then we're just going to ever so lightly do this. Now, I usually would use my JH30, but again, we're slightly and lightly blending this out, especially because it's blue. But because a halo eye, to me, is a more precise look. Versus sometimes I will use a JH30 because I'm doing more of a spotlight eye. I'm not necessarily doing this halo over the top of it. It really is the shimmer that is all through the center, even up to the top. And so it's a little different, but when you're actually going to close the look, aka the halo, then it's important when I'm blending to ensure that that stays and that that doesn't get too blown out. And it is able to kind of retain its color, because blue will spread like wildfire, and real quick you'll get yourself into a Mimi situation. So really liking this thus far. And do just a little work here. Very pretty. So then there is this kind of blue topper, and this has Cinderella's shoe in it, and it's more of like an icy blue, and we're going to take this and we're going to pop it right gently over the top of it, just like this. And we're going to even bring a little bit of that topper out into the areas where we have the lighter blue, just again to continue with the kind of iridescence of almost water-like. So as it looks like there's an absence of color, you're also getting that sparkle, but you're not getting that saturation of color like you did with the blue that we put in the center of the eye. And that is a really freaking pretty color. It has like almost specks of purple and iridescent silver. That's what that's looking like. And I'm really liking that. Now, because we did such a bold eye look on top, what we're going to do on the bottom, because I just scratched my eye. See, this is the problem with blue, is blue moves. So once you're done with it, you like don't want to touch it, like don't have any itches going on, nothing. So underneath, I think what we're going to do is just something slightly neutral. In that, I think we're going to do some purple. Yes. So we're going to take just a little bit of this kind of brighter purple, just to liven up the bottom, spruce it up a bit, let it have some life, but not continue with the blue on the bottom. And the reason why I don't want to continue with the blue on the bottom is because, again, I think personally blue will start to overtake a look, and I have done a blue blowout on the bottom before, and for me, it just does not suit me the way I have it in my head when I see it actually executed. So you just want to do a little bit of that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take our Colourpop E25, and it's kind of like a flat shader, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit we're going to take a little bit of this brown color that we have here. It's kind of like a sienna. We're going to take a little bit of that, and then we're going to mix it with the deeper purple, just very slightly, and then we're going to run that along the bottom here. So it's not too purpley, it's not too browny, it just kind of has a, again, working with dimension. Give it just a little hint of dimension, a little bit of something. I'm not pulling it down too far, because I don't really want to get too much into kind of the eye socket on the bottom there. Just want to give a little something. Okay. And then here you can choose to stop. You don't have to do any kind of inner corner highlight or anything. Because we are here, why not? We're going to go ahead and color switch again real good. Our domed brush, this is our Colourpop E28. And we are going to do a little inner corner highlight because, again, we are here. And because we're here and we did do the purple, it's only fitting for us to go ahead and, well, I thought it was only fitting to do that, but is it? Actually, we're going to go in with this color called Wishful. And this is just the lightest shade here, and it's a champagne-y color. We're just going to put it right here. I usually would bring it a little further up, but because we have a halo eye, we already have color from the halo. And we definitely don't want to take any of that away, so you want to be really, really careful with this. Like, you can bring it down lower, but I definitely don't want to get too high with it. So kind of spotlight that, wipe it off again. Okay, so very, very nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to do my liner lashes, come back, and then we're going to chat about the look and see what it turns out like when we are all done and it's here in all of its glory. So give me 2.2 and I will be right back. Okay guys, so we are back and we are back in action with everything completed. So first things first, let me get a little closer so that we can see. So this is the look that we came up with the palette. How are you guys feeling about it? I really like it. So let me remind you what the palette looks like and what the look we created was. So I have to say that I do enjoy the look. First things first is that we did not use the brush that came with it. It's just not my gig. It's very pretty. It says Sigma on here. One side is a crease brush, so this side's the crease. This side is a sweeper. Very pretty. It says Cinderella Princesses. Love it. They did have a brush collection set with this. They had blushes and they also had lip glosses. I did get the lip glosses, couldn't find them, so we just went with what we have right here, which is the palette. So didn't use that, but it's there if you want to. Let's talk about what we put on our face. So mascara wise, I did not use my primer today. I just used the Give Them La La mascara on my upper and my lower lashes. And then what I did was I put on velour lashes, and these are very nice. These are from their trimless collection. So these are the effortless lashes that don't require you to trim them at all. They are 100% vegan, cruelty free, and the band is really, really lightweight. So I'm a person who likes lashes, but I don't like any fuss, any muss. I don't like to feel it. These you cannot feel, and these are in the brand or the style Short and Sweet. So I really do like these, and I think it just adds to the look of blue that we had. That's what I used, and then I also used the velour glue, which this glue is something else. This velour set is really, really nice. So if you're looking to get into lashes, I would make the investment. And Sephora, the Sephora sales get ready to come up in November. Velour has a set that has the glue, it has a pair of lashes, and it has like a little tweezer tongue with it. I would get that. I think it might be 26 bucks, 34 bucks, one of those two. I would invest in those because these are really, really nice lashes. Like I said, they're lightweight, they're not heavy, and I think that they provide a beautiful look. And honestly, these are a bit longer than what I would usually go for. I usually go for the Demi Wispies, but these are growing on me because they're so lightweight. What we did for liner is for the lower lash line, we went in with the Patrick Star One Size Liner in brown. This is a 24-hour gel liner, and this is Point Made Busty Brown. Like I said, this is from Patrick Star, and this is a very, very creamy. I just liked that it gave it some weight, but it wasn't black, because I feel like with the blue, to have a gel black liner on the bottom was going to be a little too much. I really didn't want to do a pop of color, so we did that for the upper lash line, we actually used a color from the palette, and that was the color Mischievous, and it was a black. So we lined the top part of our lashes just with an angled brush and the black powder eyeshadow. Let's talk about the shades that we used. So I don't know, I was acting like they didn't have names when I was going over them, but we used Wishful in our inner corner. We used Pumpkin as our transition shade. We used the color Hopeful, that was the outer V. The inner part of the outer V, we used Courtyard. We used Sweet Nightingale for the all over halo eye, and then the topper on the halo eye and on the color Courtyard, we used One of a Kind. When we were going in with our lower lash line, we used the color Kindness. That was the first color we used. And then we used the combination of Stroke of Midnight and Cinders to buff everything out. So when you look at that, we used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shades. So we used 10 shades, and this palette was, what, 3, 6, 7, 14. So this is 14 shades in the palette. We used 10. I like to try to get 50% of a look on my eye, especially for the first review with you guys, just to kind of showcase and highlight if the palette can at least be used 50% worth. And that's what we have on our eye. We have 50%, more than 50% of the palette on our eye. And I think that this is a gorgeous, gorgeous, just beautiful look. I mean, I'm feeling very Cinderella-y right now. I'm feeling like we could be going to the ball at any freaking minute because it's just so beautiful. What I do want to talk about is that when I went in to do my lower lash line, I did notice right here there was some blue, and it may just be my eye, but I'm still kind of noticing a slight tinge of it. And it wasn't the shimmer, it was the first initial shade that we used, that shade Hopeful. That's what we put in the outer corner. That was kind of that deep teal. I had noticed that there was some fallout from it. That is not uncommon for blue shades, especially this one, that you can tell when you look inside of the palette. I'm not quite sure if you guys can see here, but you can see a slight indentation, and that's because we were going in, but we were very specific. So if you were to go in and try to swirl, a lot of kick up would happen. So these are soft, but they're not ABH soft, but they are a softer formula. And then because of that deep, deep teal color, it had fallout, even though we were very precise. So you may want to not do your base prior to doing your eyes, and that really, for deep colors like that, that is really something that you tend to do, is just do the eyes first and then do the base because of the fallout that can happen. I didn't do that, but in the future, I likely would do my eyes first and then go in and do my base, because there was some fallout in particular with deeper shades, especially those blues. It can be kind of hard to swipe away because it can leave a hue of kind of looking like things aren't right, especially because it's right underneath the under eye, and we use concealers and correctors to kind of hide those bluish color shades of our own veins. When you have shadow that drops there and then it doesn't really kind of brush away or smears away, it can kind of just give more life to what we were in fact trying to cover up. So I just would be aware of that if you're using especially these deep blues, that there is potential for fallout, not just from the shimmers, because I didn't notice any from the shimmers, but from the actual matte themselves. Like I said, I don't have a lot of knowledge in working with Sigma, but just from using this palette, I enjoyed this formula. And I've seen some reviews where people had some really, really tough times working, especially with these blue shades, but I found them, other than the fallout, which really happens to most kind of saturated blue palettes, I found, 1, these to be very workable, 2, be very blendable, 3, just to create a beautiful look. So everybody has different experiences with things, but I found that my experience with it was positive, and I really, really did like it. And you guys saw me at the beginning. I wasn't sure I wanted to do the blue look. I wanted to do maybe a natural look, maybe a purple look, because to be quite honest with you, the blues scared me. Because if you go wrong with blues, you go wrong, and it's very, very hard, in my opinion, to fix it and start over. You really have to like start over with everything. But I mean, just look at this. I think that it came out beautifully, and I love that we did the halo eye, the dual halo eye, and then the kind of dual shimmer on top, because I think it just gave it a certain depth that we would not have gotten had we just gone with the traditional, just one color on the outside for the halo, one color on the inside for the actual kind of spotlight of it. It really just gave it a little, look at that, a little something more. So overall, I'm really happy with it. Like I said, guys, we use, what, 10 of 14 shades? There's not many more in this palette to use. I would love to do a purple look. I would love to do a neutral look because I think that this palette is really, really, really nice. So let me know if you guys would like to see any other looks done with this, because I probably could make that happen, because I really do enjoy this palette, and I'm very, very glad that this is something that I decided to go ahead and splurge on, because one, I love Disney princesses, I enjoy Cinderella, and I think that this was a great cohesive palette, and I think that this look to me screams Cinderella. I think if you're going to do a look in the palette, I think this says Cinderella. I think if I were to put on a Cinderella dress and go out for Halloween, that you would not question this look, because this looks very Cinderella-ish. So and that is that about that. If you guys have this palette, let me know in the comment section down below. If you've had any issues with it, if you enjoy it, let me know in the comment section down below. What are some looks that you've done? If you've posted any of them on Instagram or on YouTube, let me know, because I would absolutely love to come over and kind of see what you guys are doing and take a look at it. How did you guys think that this look came out? How did you think things went as far as performance of the shades? Are you guys looking to get the palette if you didn't already get it? Just tell me your thoughts about that. Tell me your thoughts about Sigma if you have a lot of experience with Sigma, because like I said, I really don't. Tell me, is this indicative of all their palettes? Is this a one-off? Like I said, I did buy some of their other palettes, but I haven't used them yet, so I'm not quite sure. But I did find these to be a nice quality shadow to work with. So if you enjoyed the look, let me know in the comment section down below. Let's chat skis. Let's go over it. Let's see what we come up with. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me 2 very enthusiastic thumbs up, not 1, but 2. And if you guys have not already, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified of all of my new videos so you don't miss a single one. We did not have Resurrection Shadow Day this past Saturday. If we're going to be honest, I have about a week break off from school right now, and I had an intense class that just ended, and so really I have been just chilling and relaxing and being a bump on the log, and I also got very tied into Squid Game. So we marathon Squid Game for the whole day, me and my husband, and I was chilling, I was relaxing. Like I said, I was being a bump on the log, and unfortunately the video did not get up. So rather than push it out another day, we'll just move forward and push it out this weekend. So I'm sorry about that, but your girl needed a break. And then if you haven't watched Squid Game, definitely do. Yes, it's Korean. You can either get the subtitles or you can get the dubbed. We watch the dubbed version. Squid Game is good. It's so freaking good. If you're feeling a little wonky about it, give it to the 3rd episode. I guarantee you by the end of the 3rd episode, you will be binge watching it. It is a fantastic show. So that's what I've been doing. So if you haven't already, head on over to Instagram, follow me there too. You might know that I've been watching Squid Game. You'll see what is coming into my collection. You'll see what we're getting ready to do next. And you'll see what I do when I'm not here with you on the YouTubes. So guys, I love you. I'll miss you. I always thank you guys for spending your time with me. Thank you so much. You could be anywhere here on the interwebs, on the YouTubes, but you're here with me, and I appreciate you for it. So until next time, guys, I love you. I'll miss you, and I will see you on the flip side. I love you guys. Bye.